TopMedTalk.
Welcome to the Roundtable on TopMedTalk. We are in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the 6th Annual Congress for Enhanced Recovery and Perioperative Medicine, hosted by the American Society for Enhanced Recovery and the Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine International. You can find more information about the meeting at aserhq.org and ebpom or ebpom.org. My name is Desiree Chappell, the host of the Roundtable, and we are joined this morning by the president of the American Society for Enhanced Recovery, Dr. Julie Thacker. She is a surgeon from Duke University and leading this amazing organization for this year and 2018, 2019 as well. Julie, thank you so much for sitting down. We wanted to get you at the beginning of the meeting here. Give us a little bit of what you talked about in the opening session this morning, and I loved what you were talking about, the ASER mission, and really having those scientifically minded clinicians providing best care. So can you dive into that a little bit?
Sure. We've had a great start to the meeting so far, and I was honored to give the first talk where we reviewed what's gone on for the last year in ASER, as well as thinking about in this moment what we're looking forward to. We had a terrifically energetic board meeting yesterday where we looked at what we've accomplished so far and where the holes are. And I'll tell you, trying to run the board meeting, I found myself more often trying to keep up with everyone in the conversation and the energy in the room rather than drag everyone along with a bunch of protocol. There's a lot of conversation about where we go with the science of enhanced recovery and what do we look at next in the question of perioperative medicine, and how do we do that? How do we interact with the other societies and figure out how best to ask our questions, how to get them funded, and then how to actually start reporting on and doing what I would consider more research trials as opposed to just our retrospective and trying to understand protocols. And that is one of our true missions in ASER, and I see that developing more this year.
Yeah, it was a great conversation we had about a research consortium versus just what we're doing with poking, and I think all of us are in consensus that that really is what we need to be doing, and looking at that again through that team approach, multidisciplinary team approach, and getting everybody involved.
Yeah, the two efforts mirror, and certainly the phrase go hand in hand. POCI does review what we're doing, what's in the literature, and how do we decide how we're going to take care of that patient the next day. Even though we may at the end of the manuscript still say we need to study more. With an ASER research consortium, those POCI questions become research questions the next day because we have 10 or 15 centers ready to look at those. The best example is already in place where we have the POCI on the iFeed, where we looked at what happens with GI dysfunction after surgery. And we now have a grant application in through one of our authors looking at a multi-center trial trying to validate the iFeed, very similar to what ADKI did with the rifle criteria. So it's exciting. That'll be in place this year, so we'll be reporting that out this time next year.
That's absolutely fantastic. What are a couple of the sessions that you're really looking forward to?
I have to tell you, I have anticipated a fairly, I don't want to say slow, but straightforward start, and everybody had pens flying already in our first session. I was very impressed. The medical director of ACS, Dr. Opelka, was able to jump on the idea of what we're working on in ASER and in POCI and say, wow, this is right what we're doing with the American College, and trying to look at performance measures, trying to look at patient safety and quality, and figuring out how that could blend together with our research interest. And then for Dr. Fleischer to come in and say, oh, and by the way, one very particular point you could look at would be appropriateness, which is something that the American College has been looking at as well. So it really, that particular session, allowing them to come to the table with what they wanted to discuss, brought together exactly what we've been talking about in ASER for the last now 5-6 years, but very particularly what we're hoping to accomplish this particular meeting. Favorite sessions, I always look forward to the EPBOM debates. Yeah, so we've assigned experts either side of a debate. We are going to be covering 2 of the POCI sessions in the meeting today. Some of the manuscripts are already accepted, the others out in peer review right now. Both extraordinarily topical relative to political climate and medical legal climate right now. And then also going through the specialties. Yeah. So ASER often gets the question, is enhanced recovery just for colorectal surgery? We don't have a single colorectal surgery lecture on the program. Despite everyone's temptation as we're making the program as we go through, I being the colorectal surgeon on the program committee, said no. This is not a colorectal year. Yeah. This is let's talk about everybody else who's taken this to the next step year. And even the anesthesia talks do not have a focus on particularly abdominal pelvic surgery, because what we're seeing is that's out there. Yep. The next step in the literature is to start looking at the things we don't know around that, but we already have discussed what we know. So being able to go out into other specialties was very, very intentional this year, and those are going to be some exciting sessions.
The relevancy of that, I mean, anybody that started out in enhanced recovery, they usually start in colorectal because that's where it's always been. But what everybody finds early on is they want to advance it to the next service line, and that's the piece that I feel like they've done a great job talking about this year is how do we take those next steps into these other lines.
So those sessions will all be pretty
really
exciting,
good.
and always the questions that come out are intriguing as you put a bunch of different specialty people on the podium. Yeah. The panel discussions are always pretty robust.
I love the evolution and how dynamic everything is.
Yeah, I think everybody we might be catching up on the espresso that was shared as one of our breakfasts this morning. So I think the audience is certainly going to be more participatory as each session goes on, as always happens at this meeting, but particularly just because of the topics. And then our afternoon session today, Dr. Opelka is going to join us again and talk about how to address the C-suite. So
great information.
We get several questions about that every year about, well, this all sounds great, but how can I get my institution to do it, my chairman to buy in? How do I do this? So it's going to help us with that.
Good stuff. Well, Julie, thank you so much for sitting down with us, and we look forward to all the sessions over the next several days here at the American Society for Enhanced Recovery Annual Congress.
Great, thank you.
TopMedTalk.